The sole purpose of this video is to provide a basic overview and orientation of your new apparatus. This video is not intended to act as or replace individualized driver-operator training. Individual fire departments may base guidelines, policies, and procedures tailored for best practices. Pierce Manufacturing and Hughes Fire Equipment representatives are not liable for injuries caused from acts resulting from actions inconsistent with the information provided within this video and/or accompanying manuals. Refer to the Operation and Maintenance Manual for complete details relating to the components and features of this apparatus. Only trained personnel should operate this vehicle or perform maintenance. You are responsible for learning how to operate this fire apparatus under all conditions without having to refer to the manual while operating at an emergency incident. This video will discuss types of warnings and caution labels. It is your responsibility to locate and identify each of the labels and understand the importance and associated hazards. Warning labels will point out procedure that must be taken or action that must be avoided to guard against the possibility of serious injury or death. Caution labels will advise you that there is a risk of damage to property if certain precautions are not followed. Continuous training, reviewing of operation and service manuals, developing good standardized practices will assist driver operators with a more complete understanding of the components and operation of this fire apparatus. As the driver operator of this vehicle, you are responsible for understanding the function of each component of the apparatus, maintaining control of the fire apparatus at all times while in operation, make operational and functional changes while operating at an emergency without having to read operator's instructions or safety warning labels, operate manual override and emergency shutdown procedures immediately if a component fails to operate properly. Components location may vary with each Pierce fire apparatus. Review the exact location of each component prior to operation. Major inconsistencies between your vehicle and the information contained in this video should be directed to your sales representative. Safe operation of any vehicle is the responsibility of the driver operator. You must learn the location and function of all controls, switches, gauges, valves, inlets, and discharges. Due to a higher center of gravity, heavy trucks have a significantly higher rollover tendency than other types of vehicles. To reduce the risk of rollover, avoid making sharp turns, excessive speed, and avoid abrupt maneuvers. In the event of a rollover crash, an unbelted person is significantly more likely to become injured or die than a person wearing a seatbelt. In the event of a crash, unbuckled occupants can also become a hazard to other occupants, as they may be thrown around inside the cab. Seatbelts are required while in operation. Please refer to your warranty certificates for details and information enclosed in your manuals. Customer-installed equipment must be mounted to withstand road travel and comply with NFPA 1901. Modifications such as drilling holes or welding to structural frame components of the chassis are not permitted. Contact Pierce for instruction and review of non-structural sheet metal or other dissimilar metals for modification. Follow the radio installation guide for further assistance on installing or mounting electronics. Before placing your new apparatus into service, perform a primary inspection of key components of the apparatus, including all fluid levels, anti-lock braking systems, electronic stability control, and automatic traction control. Weigh your apparatus to ensure that it conforms to axle and brake ratings. Never exceed the gross axle rating printed on the label inside the cab. Exceeding these ratings could lead to reduced component life, personal injury, or death. Review the use of auxiliary braking systems, compression brake, exhaust brake, electronic retarder, and hydraulic retarder. Before placing the apparatus in service, refer to the operational maintenance manuals. Information on the operation and maintenance functions for the components such as the pump, pressure governor, and foam systems, along with other options, is provided in either the Pierce manuals and/or other manufacturer support information delivered with the apparatus. If you need more information, please contact Hughes Fire Equipment. Congratulations, Lebanon, Oregon, on your new fire apparatus, job number 32938. Please utilize this 5-digit job number when referencing your apparatus with Hughes Fire Equipment or Pierce Manufacturing. Let's take a brief orientation of your new apparatus. Here's a quick image of truck 31. We'll now start at the front bumper and identify some of the items within. First, starting on the face of the front bumper passenger side is your electronic siren PA speaker. Moving inward of that, you have dual air horns, passenger and driver's side. Moving over to the driver's side, you'll find your mechanical siren. And moving up to the very top, you'll find a tubbed storage location with a D handle for access. On the outer edge up on the body, you'll find your marker and turn indicator. Inside of that, the headlight structure. And just above that, you'll find emergency warning lights forward facing. There are 2 grab handles to access the front of the vehicle, along with 3 windshield wipers across the one-piece seamless windshield. Moving out to the outer edges of the vehicle, you'll find mirrors. There is a convex and flat mirror on the connection point. And as we move all the way up to the very top, you'll find 5 running lights. On each passenger and driver's side, you'll find forward-facing floodlights. And over the driver's seat, you'll find your Opticom. Let's take a couple of quick looks at what we just talked about. First, starting with the front bumper. This is your truck 31. This is the D handled for the tubbed storage location. As we move inside that tub storage, you'll find a 1.5 inch discharge. The front does drop down for ease of access for gaining access to the front bumper load. As we move overhead, you'll find your master stream device. There is also a control module located on the nozzle itself. In addition, with a 2.5 inch discharge port here. And then moving up to the very top of the ladder, you'll find 2 on the passenger and 2 on the driver's side. These are your tip lights. Just a quick view here from a different angle. Let's move around to the other side. Viewing it from the passenger side, you'll find a shut-off valve located just aft of the nozzle. In addition, with a lever which allows you to pin the waterway at a lower level than the tip. There is also a scabbard on your 107-foot area ladder. Here is a quick image of your Lebanon Fire District logo. You do have keyed entry points at all locations, in addition with grab handles at all locations. There is a bullet style camera or turn indicating camera on the left side just to the rear of the front door. As we move just further back, you'll find additional storage that's accessed exterior. As we're now to the pump section, you'll find 2 2.5 inch discharges located in the lower section. Moving to the right, you'll find a warning label regarding pressurized hazard. Be cautious when removing caps that may be under pressure. Large diameter pump intake. Moving over to the right hand side, you'll find a fall warning here and not to ride on the side of the apparatus. In addition, with a warning label here, not to mix different foam brands, consistencies, or types, for they may fail as foam failure. You'll also find your draft fill tank for your foam lever on the right. In addition, with a 2.5 inch auxiliary female inlet. Moving further to the right, you'll find an air inlet. Moving across the very bottom, you'll find all your associated drains color-coded and labeled. The step does fold outward. This is the release mechanism for that step. A few close-ups here of the images that we just talked about. This is your draft foam tank. There is the fill inlet at the bottom. And also down at the lower section, your air supply for your air outlet. As we move now midship, this is just behind the cab. Additional warning label here regarding hazard entanglement because of those hoses coming off. You will find the number 1 and number 2 yellow and white crosslays.
and you'll also find your 2.5-inch crosslay. These loads do have the ability to remove that entire speed load. This is the release mechanism that allows you to remove any one of those 3 speed lays or all. In the upper section, you'll have tool storage and also a dead lay. You can identify the small latch just at the base here. This is the release mechanism for allowing those items to be removed. And once again, in the upper corner, this is a dead lay indicating that it is not pre-connected. As we move to the pump panel itself, we'll start at the very top. First, starting with this indicator, if your pump is properly engaged, this light will be illuminating. As we move to the left in the image, you'll find your foam A tank. This is a module indicator. Moving to the right, you'll find your pump intake. And then further to the right, the pump discharge. These are the 2 master gauges. Moving further to the right, you'll find pressure and vacuum discharge ports. These are for test purposes. And then moving to the right-hand side, you'll find your PCM fault indicator. If illuminating, it would be in a yellow color. And you'll also receive an audible alarm, which does have the ability on the outer edge of the bezel to dampen the sound level. Let's move down from this location, and we'll talk about your discharges. They are all foam and water capable, that they're indicated here, the 4. And then to the right, you'll find your fire pump primer. There is some priming instructions below that at least 1,000 RPMs while priming. You do have a minimum operation maintenance schedule for 150, 200, and 250 PSI. We'll talk about that in a moment. Moving over to your pressure throttle governor, you'll find, if illuminated, the yellow check engine light. Located in the center, you'll find your RPMs digital readout. And further to the right, if illuminated, this will be your stop engine light. Just beneath that, you'll find all of your engine diagnostic information. Below that, in the blue module, is your water tank water level from empty, quarter, half, 3/4 to full. And then to the right, you'll find a red silence button. That is for the audible alarm. And then below that, you'll find a menu button in orange, which allows you to scroll through the various menus. Moving further down back into the black section, you're going to find the pressure control or throttle control. The blue button is the indicator for moving between throttle control or pressure control. You do have a digital readout in the center. Regarding just beneath that indicator, you will find a throttle ready. This is a green indicator that will be illuminating to engage your throttle. Moving further to the right, if you choose, you can pre-designate preset pressures or throttle depending on the mode that you're in. That is the button for accessing that menu. Down in the lower section, you'll find your throttle control and also idle button. This is your minimum operation maintenance schedule for 150, 200, and 250 PSI. On the left-hand side is the GPM, and on the right-hand side is the RPMs. This also lists your job number. Instructions are on the left-hand side for your maintenance schedule. Let's move down lower now. First, a warning label here that only trained personnel should operate this piece of equipment, and only after using the owner's manual. Down the left, you'll find your tank fill recirculating line, and then to the right, you'll find the tank to pump. You do have 2 electronic valves. It's going to be the number 2 discharge and also the large diameter passenger side, orange and green. These are the control modules for those. Your vehicle is equipped with a Husky 3 foam system. This is the module in red that controls it, and then just beneath are your foam system instructions and also specifications. In the upper right-hand corner will be your aerial discharge. On the wheel itself, it gives an indication as to open and closed. Let's move further down to the left. This is your passenger main inlet. This is an indication and open and close valve. To the right, you'll find your primer drain. And moving further to the right, you'll find a danger label regarding electrical hazard or electrocution because of this being an aerial device. Moving further to the right, we'll talk a little bit about this is a pan door, and we'll talk what's behind it. And then across the very bottom, you have all of your drains that are color-coded and also labeled. Here's some close-ups of the passenger main inlet. Moving down, we have a couple close-ups of the sets of discharge drains. Let's look inside that pan door now. First, with it open on the outside, or on the inside door handle area, you'll find the foam lever with instructions below as it's to position. And then you'll also find the location for the manual pump shift override. It is a protected switch, and there is an amber indicator indicating that you've engaged it. As we move to the left side of the image here, you'll find the driver's side scene lights, passenger side scene lights, front scene lights, rear scene lights, and then also a red air horn switch. Just beneath all of those switches, you do have the ability to add an additional future switch if necessary. Let's now move to the next compartment over, where you'll find your toolbox, adjustable shelving, and LED lighting. As we look to that upper arrow corner, this is going to be a shore power outlet. When plugged into shore power, this will activate. Moving further through the compartments here, you have pegboard and also LED lighting. In front and in rear of the tires, you'll find bottle storage locations. Just beneath those bottle storage locations in the front is where you'll find your blue 4.5 US gallon DEF fill location. And on the rear section of the rear of your apparatus, you have bottle storage in addition with the ultra low sulfur diesel fuel fill location. This is the silver cap. Moving all the way around to the rear of the apparatus, you can see adjustable shelving and also a bottom shelf. The bottom shelf does have a release mechanism located within the trolley or release mechanism. As we move to the rear of the apparatus, first I'd like to point out this fall injury that you should not ride on the side of the apparatus or any part of your apparatus. On the left, you have a hydraulic indicator, and then further to the right, you'll find a front to rear level indicator. There is also a switch located here which will control the scene lights that are just above. Let's move through some of the items within the rear of your apparatus. First, starting with the scene light. This is a puck switch which allows you to toggle between on and off. As we move to the first compartment, I would like to point out a warning label here regarding aerial stability hazard, that operating your aerial device and set up only on a firm surface. You do have a diagnostic or USB interface plug. To the right, when your aerial has been properly stabilized, you will indicate this indicator indicating green. You do have a protected override switch. Also to the right, you'll find your emergency hydraulic power switch and also your level assist. Moving further down into the controls, you'll find the driver side stabilizer control. There is an outward and also a downward toggle with green indicators that it is properly engaged. Moving further down, you have a rear stabilizer control with a green light indicating that it is properly engaged. As we move to the compartment, you're going to find two 16-foot roof ladders, in addition with a 10-foot folding attic ladder, and then you have a variety of pike poles located within the line from 6 to 12 foot. Let's move back to the rear section of the apparatus again. First, starting on the left-hand side, this is a warning label that makes sure that you have anchor failure hazard is properly utilized. That is the anchor off the rear frame rail. Also down on the very bottom, we have a pressurized cap warning label and not to open caps while under pressure. Located in the center, you'll find your aerial inlet. Further to the right, we'll find the aerial drain behind the pan door. And then moving to the right, you'll find a side right to left indicator for your inclinometer. Just beneath that, you have a gauge regarding the aerial inlet pressure. As we move all the way to the top to the number 31 door, this is a pan door that will drop down once we gain access inside that. These are your controls. There is a warning and danger hazard here regarding tip over or structural hazard, and also a crush injury. On the left, you'll find the location for the rotation oil or lube, and then to the right, you're going to find the stabilizer or aerial position. All of the valves are individually controlled. This is the aerial emergency power and stabilizer emergency power located on the right-hand side of that image. Here's some close-ups of things we just talked about. Let's move around now inside the pan door. This is the aerial drain. This is the ball valve that controls that drain. There's also a rear compartment with an access panel. As we move around to the very top of the apparatus, you'll find your reverse or backup camera just under the turntable. The vehicle is also equipped with 35-foot 2-section and a 28-foot 2-section ground ladder. We're now at the top of the pedestal, and this is a covered storage location. Let's go ahead and move upward from this location. At the base of the aerial, looking to the tip of the ladder, you'll find your 4-section ladder. Now moving to the pedestal, you'll find some warning labels here regarding electrocution and also crush because of those hydraulic moving parts. You'll also find an audible alarm to the very rear of the pedestal, and then down at the very bottom, an additional pan door. We'll talk about what's behind it in the next image. As we look inside the cover of the pedestal, quick view, we'll start in the upper left-hand corner first with the emergency stop button. Moving downward, you'll find your tip lights, which are at the very tip of the ladder. There are 4 of them. Then as we move to the right, you'll find the tracking lights, which are the 2 lights at the base of the pedestal area. Moving down, you'll find an aerial speed, either the normal position or moving it to fast. And then to the right, you'll find your hydraulic emergency power override. This will engage your hydraulic power. You'll also find your Pierce command zone here. Tremendous amount of information right at your fingertips. See your owner's manual for more. Just beneath that, you'll find nozzle control on the left-hand side, and then you'll find ladder control on the right for your extend, retract, right to left, and lower and raise. Moving just in front of the pedestal, you'll find your intercom system. There is an on-off switch and a volume, and also a push-to-talk or in the position for listen. It is a momentary switch. In the cover, you're going to find information here about your ascendant ladder. This is information regarding a 35-mile-an-hour wind condition, either the waterway dry or waterway charged. Just beneath that, you'll find your monitor nozzle positions. And then all the way down at the base of this placard, you'll find capacities that are based on the following conditions. And one of those conditions could be icing, for an example. So see your owner's manual regarding that. On the left, you'll see the 1911 testing information per NFPA. On the side next to the pedestal, on the ladder itself, you'll find your inclinometer from 0 to 10 and from 0 to 80. That was -10. In that pan door we talked about earlier at the base of the pedestal, this is your calibration. This would be for your service personnel to work on, along with your aerial manual control. Let's move back to the very tip of the aerial. On the very last fly, you'll find 2 fold-down steps on the right and left-hand side. You'll also find the release mechanism to engage your nozzle way at a lower position. The lever is on the right-hand side. It actuates the movement on the left inside. You'll find the 2 positions either at the very top or rotating it to the very bottom. You're also going to find in the base at the ladder, you're going to find nozzle controls. Those are the nozzle control functions there. Also on the far left-hand side of the gray box, we'll find an additional switch, and that's for your tip light. Here's a close-up of the straight fog, right, left, and up and down for your nozzle control. This is the gray box on the left-hand side. These are your tip lights. That's the switch that momentarily turns on your tip lights. On the right-hand side, you'll find your intercom speaker. There is no push or toggle. It is just active. A couple of just views here of the nozzle and the tip of the ladder. As we move around to the passenger side of the vehicle, to the very rear roll-up compartment door with pegboard. Moving further forward, you'll find additional adjustable shelving and also top-mounted pegboard. You also have bottle storage locations to the rear wheels. There are 2 bottle storage locations here. Moving now just above this location over the rear wheel, you'll find a tool board. The D handle is the release mechanism, which allows you to pull that tool board to the outward position. Once it's fully extended, it will lock in position. On the inside, there is a latch to release. Just in front of the rear wheel, you'll find bottle storage locations for 2 SCBA bottles here. And then moving just to the forward position, you'll find this danger label regarding electrocution hazard. We'll also make a note in the upper left-hand corner of this image. This is a 12-volt access point. Moving to the opposite side of this compartment, you'll find a shoreline outlet 20-amp plug. When plugged into shore power, this will be activated. We're now to the midsection. Same layout as the other side. They mirror each other. And as we go to the pump panel area, you'll first find this warning label regarding not to ride on the side of the apparatus. We'll find a pan door. We'll talk about the contents behind it in a moment. You'll also find your large diameter pump intake. And then further to the right, you'll find a warning label here regarding pressurized hazard and the associated problems when removing a cap while under pressure. To the right, you'll find a 2.5-inch discharge. That's your orange in color. It is also electric, so it does have an override just below. All the way to the left, you'll find the cab lift module. There is caution and danger labels regarding on that. Please read those prior to operation. And then just to the right, you'll find your 2.5-inch female auxiliary inlet, along with on the right, your large diameter, which is going to be green, discharge. It also is an electronic valve and does have an override. At the very bottom, you'll find all your associated color-coded and labeled drains. Here's a close-up of the cab lift. In the upper left, you'll find some caution and also some danger information. There is instructions on raise and lower. This is going to be accessed just behind the panel, so you don't have to remove the entire panel to gain access. Here's a close-up of that 2.5-inch passenger side auxiliary inlet. That's a female inlet. And then also your large diameter and also the number 2 passenger side discharge 2.5-inch. Here's your color-coded and labeled drains across the very bottom. As we move just inside the cab, at all points of entry for personnel, you'll find this set of warning labels. As we look inside the cab, just a general view around the inside, you can see there are 2 exterior seats mounted on the passenger and driver side with a center-mounted EMS compartment. There are push-on and off white and red lights overhead. The interior cab to the rear wall has the EMS compartment, is what we refer to it as. It also has a roll-up door, LED lighting, and also adjustable shelving. As we move down to the front section, you'll find this location, which is your daily checks for oil and transmission fluid checks. And as we look to the exterior, these are compartments here, I assume for turnouts. They have adjustable shelving and also LED lighting. Moving once again to the front entry, this is the officer area. Points of entry, we have warning labels. This is also the fill location for your windshield wipers. Your vehicle is equipped with a supplemental restraint system, SRS, which is an airbag. There's some instructions here not to mount anything or block this area. This is once again the fill location for your windshield wiper. We're on the officer side of the vehicle. As we look to the left-hand side of the officer seat, you'll find 12-volt access, mechanical siren, and siren brake push buttons. Moving overhead, I'd like to point out in the very center, this is a red light indicating, if illuminating, that do not move your apparatus. A door or compartment is open. Your vehicle is also equipped with a radio band radio, AM, FM, also CD, in addition with your fire comm module and then a wireless fire comm module just underneath that. Overhead, you'll also find your siren control and PA speaker. In between the 2 seats in the front section, you'll find a map book or information storage location. We're now to the driver's area. I'd like to point out those points of entry, so all of those warning labels. As we look to the step area is where you're going to find your shoreline inlet. This is an auto eject 20 amp plug, and just to the left of it you'll find a air inlet for your service brakes. You also have, when plugged into shore power, your charging system will activate. At about the right ankle of the driver, you'll find this placard, manufactured by Pierce, date of manufacture of March 2019, job number, the 5-digit number, gross vehicle weight ratings, cold tire inflation, and also the VIN number and fluid capacities for all of the components. On the left knee of the operator, you'll find the master battery switch, in addition with 2 modules here. This is the tech module, engine, transmission, and ABS diagnostic port, and then at the very bottom you'll find ABS diagnostics, DPF regen, engine diagnostics, and regen inhibit, and also a display port. Just a general view here, you can see on the left hand side you have a digital readout for your pump pressure, which is just above the master battery switch. And then we move just up from that location is where on the right-hand side of the steering column is where you'll find future switches and also your off-road traction control switch. You do have electronic door window operation. They are on the left-hand side. Subsequently, all other windows have individual controls. As we look to the left, you'll find the ignition and start switch. To the right, you'll find an EM switch, which stands for Emergency Master. It will engage all of your emergency lights. Also headlight and parking lights, in addition with a panel switch, which will allow you to brighten or dim the panel lights on the dash. On the opposite side, you're going to find flat mirror control and convex mirror control. And on the dash itself, you'll find your transmission, oil, DEF level, water temperature, separated by the tachometer and speedometer in the center. And then to the right, you'll find your volts, fuel level, front and rear air, informational diagnostic information above and below the speedometer. As we look to the Pierce Command Zone, tremendous amount of information right here at your fingertips. Please see your owner's manual for more information. It's very helpful. I'll also talk a little bit about this set of switches in the next set of images. On the just down from that, you'll find your system parking brake, which is pull to apply and push to release. And then to the right, you'll find your Allison digital transmission pad. Let's go back to those switches now, first starting with the engine brake. It's an on-off switch, and then you have setting switches for that engine brake for low, medium, or high. To the right, you'll find a mirror heat. This is an indicator regarding your stationary OK to pump and roll, and then your water pump and foam system switches. Moving to the right, you'll find climate control for your heat and defrost, heat and also AC. You have some information here regarding disengaging your retarder prior to utilizing traction device. You also have windshield wiper control, push to apply fluid. Overhead of the operator will start on the far left with a height 11 feet, 7.7 inches, a length of 39 feet, 4.5 inches, and a gross vehicle weight rating of 57,500 pounds. You'll also find your department job number for this vehicle located here also. Let's move slightly to the right over the operator's head, where you'll find your emergency master, roof lights, front warning, side warning, rear warning, and your Opticom switch. When any of these switches are engaged, the green indicator will illuminate. Let's move slightly to the right from this location. We'll find an additional set of switches, first starting with your rear scene light, front scene lights, driver's side and passenger side scene lights. You do have perimeter lighting around the entire exterior of the vehicle, and then also a load manager. Let's move slightly to the right again. We'll find an additional set of switches. This is going to be your stabilizer placement light, an aerial master, aerial PTO, backup alarm, mechanical siren, and siren brake. The placement light will give you the position for that stabilizer while in the motion of parking. Congratulations, Lebanon Fire Department, on your new fire apparatus, job number 32938. If you have any questions as to the content of this video or any future questions, please contact your Hughes Fire sales representative. Congratulations and thank you.